Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Coffee with Kem and Hills. I'm going to be real with you. That was my second take because my mouth wasn't working. And I think it's because it's Monday.
I think so too. And it's okay. The coffee hasn't quite hit. It's...
No. Welcome to Coffee with Kem and Hills. It's kind of what it sounded like. Yeah. So I hope everyone is having a good morning and having, ample amounts of caffeine.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those caffeinated mornings.
I know. I hate that I have a cutoff, There's all these rules when you're pregnant.
Yeah. Today's going to be a 3-cup day for me.
That sounds
definitely, sorry.
I'm definitely jealous. Definitely jealous. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. It was very hot.
Yeah. I know. We're in it now.
Yeah.
Like that summer heat.
Yes. But it was really nice. The splash pads are open, so we spent a lot of time in the water.
Yeah.
Not in it.
Wait, open as in they're at the park?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Most of the parks in Philadelphia have splash pads at them.
I bet there's a lot of urine in those splash pads.
They're very chlorinated.
Okay, good.
So, and there's not a lot of standing water. It really is just running water.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably babies, but most, I wouldn't say it's a lot of, we were more concerned about pools.
A splash pad of urine. Well, it's just because I think about my daughter, we'll just strip her down.
Oh, for sure.
And we have our own little splash pad for her, but then we also have this bucket. I might have told everyone about this already. We have just this big bucket that works really well for her, and we stick her in it. And I think she thinks it's funny. She stands up and then she kind of looks at me and I'm like, "Oh, honey," and then she just starts peeing everywhere in the bucket. I'm like, "All right, your bucket, your pee, have fun."
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So I guess but that was the image in my head when I was picturing all the kids running around the splash pad. Was my child who,
I will say probably most of the kids around her age are still in diapers. And so you just see the diapers get soaked with water and probably urine.
Right.
And then they're
not running around naked.
No, they're not running around naked. We used to strip my daughter down just to her diaper and then run around.
Totally.
Until she, the diaper was too heavy where she couldn't walk anymore. And we'd be like,
I know.
Now it's time to go home.
I know, that full just hanging diaper. And you're like, poor kid. That doesn't look comfortable.
No.
Can you imagine that? I know. Yeah.
Did you do anything else this weekend?
We did. We actually had some people over for a barbecue.
Ooh.
Which is something we just haven't done anything social in a really long time. And it was nice because it was some of our nearest and dearest friends. It was a small group, but people were really comfortable with. Just came over and we had a little cookout and hung out, and it was really nice. I needed adult time. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. It's very nice to have adult time.
And I get that with you every day,
every morning.
Which I need for my well-being, I'm telling you. Because sometimes I fear that I'm going to start talking to people the way I talk to my daughter, and I'm like, oh, don't do that. That would be very weird.
But happens.
But it happens. Oh, it's so nice to see you.
Yep, definitely been there.
All right, we've got some hot topics today. I say we dive right on in.
Yeah.
Our first one is from CNBC. Here's how much cash you need to ride out a recession at different stages of life, according to financial advisors. Oh, this is close to home for everyone right now.
Yeah, I think, everybody is a little bit anxious.
On edge?
On edge, yeah, that's a good, A little fearful about
teetering on the cliff's edge.
About all the talk of a recession, about all this inflation happening, all of the things that are happening with the economy. And we haven't had, it feels like a normal economy for the last 2+ years at this point.
Yeah.
So everything is just in constant flux.
Yeah, you feel it too. You really do. It's we all have to keep our financial wellness in check.
Yes.
As we talk about on Healthy Wealthy Wednesday, but really in particular right now.
Yes. So they said in the article that more than half of Americans are now concerned about their emergency savings. This is up from 44% in 2020.
Right.
Which I found interesting because there was so much chaos and volatility in 2020, especially at this time. I'm surprised that it's more of an issue for people.
I wonder if some people lost more of their, those backup funds over the pandemic.
That could be
those who
true.
lost their jobs or were having to stay home for childcare reasons and stuff like that. And, it's. I mean, so much has happened over the past 3-4 years. It's unsettling.
It's unsettling,
to say the least.
The article also quotes that a third of Americans have less than 3 months of savings.
Right. Well, and then as we get into the article, I think what shocked me is how much, how many months worth they were recommending people have. And I mean, they really want you to pad it out.
Right. Especially during this time.
And obviously that's ideal, but I think during this time it's harder, it's easier said than done. You're like, oh, I need it now. But it's hard, I don't have the extra means to contribute towards that. So there's that reality on top of it. But we're still going to just tell you.
Yeah. According to the experts, how much you should have.
How much you should have.
Depending on where you're at in life.
Yes. So according to some financial advisors, they say that for dual income families, save at least 3 months worth. Okay, so the reasoning is that only 3 months is because at least you have 2 people working, right? So if one person loses their job, you'll still have some income coming in to fall back on.
So it's more like you'll actually have 6 months worth of an ability to ride out, typically if only one person loses their job.
So that makes sense. I mean, there's a little more cushion there, obviously, right? Single earners put aside 6 months or more, but they actually recommend 8 to 12 months.
Yeah, and Susie Orman, who I think a lot of people know and love, she actually recommends 8 to 12 months.
Yeah.
If you're a single earner family in reserve. So this gives you a little bit more freedom in case somebody loses a job, you decide to leave a job, there's just tumultuousness happening.
Totally. And I mean, of course that would, if you had 8 to 12 months worth of savings to cover your bills, you would be feeling a lot more relaxed than a lot of people are feeling right now in this climate. But I wonder how many people have planned for this prior to everything going down and have that.
Well, certainly not a third of Americans. Definitely way less than 2/3, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean that's a hefty amount of cash. Yep. Yeah. So entrepreneurs set aside 1 year of expenses. And apparently taking this advice saved quite a few of this financial advisor's business owner's clients. So from shutting down due to the pandemic. So this has been proven to have helped people.
Yeah, I think that this is typically a general rule of thumb for entrepreneurs, small business owners, is to have that much cash available. Is that always possible? Hard to say, but to have that available so that you can survive ups and downs and changes.
Oof. A year.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, and then retirees are they advise to have 1 to 3 years of your expenses in cash. So this can be a little bit different because you might have a pension, or if you're also getting Social Security, you would deduct that from the amount of cash that you would need to have on hand. So if your monthly expenses are $5,000 a month and you have a pension or some other source of income that's bringing in $3,000 plus you're getting about $1,000 from Social Security, you really only need to have $1,000 per month on hand in cash, which is only $12,000 per year. So it's not actually as bad as it sounds. As bad as it sounds, but also if maybe Social Security is your only, then you would have to have more than that. So
Oh, more to plan for with retirement, everyone. Yep. More to stow away for retirement, everyone. They also talk about how saving is a very emotional topic, which is, it's true. People can feel uncomfortable having that much money on the sidelines and not be earning anything from it.
Yes.
Which I get as well, because we've covered some articles that say you don't want to have that much cash that's not generating, right?
Right. But I think, and that's why it's this fine line of knowing how much to have in reserve so that you also don't have to pull money out of the market that's supposed to stay in there and grow for you.
Right.
So
they're two separate things.
Two separate things.
Yes. But it is an emotional topic, isn't it?
It is a very emotional topic. And on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. Don't you worry, we've got some more hot topics for you. Well, we have a hot topic for you. And this is from the Wall Street Journal. Millennials were optimistic about their financial future, but now, not so much.
Yeah, this was a very interesting article to read. Obviously, I'm a millennial.
Yeah, me too.
And it was written, the author, J.J. McCorvey.
Good job.
Don't want to mispronounce his name. And I knew I was going to.
Can't win them all.
You know, he's about the same age as I am, so it definitely resonated with me a lot. And I think it's really true. A lot of the pandemic, millennials were feeling very hopeful and not excited. Things were crazy.
Right, during the pandemic.
But, you know, a lot of millennials either jumped jobs and got higher pay or were able to save, getting some stimulus checks, or just not being able to spend money on the things that we're normally spending money on, like travel and all the other things. So we're feeling kind of good about the financial future. Plus, we were in a bull market, there were, I think, about 20 to 30 days where the market was a very scary place, but then everything has risen back up. Now it's going
until as of
down.
Recent times.
Right. The worst first 6 months of the year since 1970. Awesome. Great.
Yeah, seriously.
So I think it is, and we're at that age where we're being told that we have set amounts that you should be at in order
a certain age,
get to where you're feeling comfortable.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because a lot of millennials, as they were talking about in the article, were feeling particularly financially confident during the pandemic. And maybe that was due to stimulus checks. I mean, there could have been many reasons, but some people felt almost empowered to, we've talked about this before as well, to be like, you know what? I don't really love this job that I'm doing. I think I'm going to go for this other thing that's more of my passion. And now they're finding themselves potentially in a situation where they've started their own business. They don't have the same benefits that they had before. And they're like, oh, shoot, I've left that job where, I had a 401k
and a match from my employer
and all of that. And now I'm kind of scrambling to stay afloat. So now I'm rethinking my choices.
Rethinking the rethink.
Rethinking the rethink is what it said in the article, and I like that. Because it's kind of a bummer because I love that it inspired people to sort of run towards their passion and take these risks and everything. But like, who could have predicted that we'd be where we are right now?
Right.
I mean, maybe somebody.
Obviously somebody did, but who was necessarily listening to them?
Right.
Well, and I think it was definitely I don't know about you, but my mindset was certainly, things were so scary and so terrible during that initial lockdown and like the initial 3 months from like March to June.
Yeah.
But then, health-wise, things were still very scary. There were still people, still lockdowns, but it felt like the economy had pivoted to it was going on an upward trajectory, but it wasn't like this scary outlook. Like we weren't talking about a recession anymore. We weren't talking about this. It was just like, we all have to scramble and figure out how to make things work because it's just not the way things were working before.
Yeah, and it was almost pivoting in a way that was keeping people afloat.
Exactly.
And, which was nice in that moment for sure.
Yeah. And now it's a different conversation.
It's a whole different conversation. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for everybody, but I do remember you talked about like those first 3 months, and to me, it's almost like a blur.
Oh yeah,
because I feel like that was before the COVID pandemic became our norm almost, and it sort of did, which is weird to say now, but now we sort of live in that world. It's part of our world, and I look at my kid, and I'm like, they call them COVID babies, like these kids that were born during the pandemic, and it's all they know. I mean, she doesn't flinch at someone wearing a mask or anything like that. It's going to be just part of their everyday lives, isn't it?
And nobody does, like, it's a choose your own adventure wearing a mask these days, but you don't like, it's not a big deal. Whereas pre-pandemic, it was like, there were certainly people,
what do you have?
You'd be like, ooh, you must be severely immunocompromised or know something I don't know.
Yeah.
And
what are you hiding?
Right.
What are you hiding under there?
And now it's like, oh. And there's times, especially if I'm on mass transit or something like that, I'm like, I'm just going to mask up. Like, I don't feel...
It just feels better.
It just feels better. Like it's a security blanket or something. I don't know.
Or if like... I didn't put on makeup that day.
Right. True. Yes,
that mask on, some glasses.
There you
that
go.
Ponytail in.
You got it.
That you shouldn't need makeup to go outside and feel good about yourself. But sometimes you're tired, you've been up all night with the baby, and you need a little bit of lippy. You know what I mean?
Mascara. That's what I need.
Yeah, I always actually mascara is I think my number one. Maybe because we're both like fair.
Yeah.
I have blonde eyelashes.
Same. Or they're very light brown. I don't know. They just don't stand out if I don't have mascara on.
Okay, way off topic. Sorry.
Back to financials. So I think one of the other things that the article pointed out is that people have a lot of anxiety when it comes to their retirement accounts, especially millennials, knowing that now is the prime time for us to be saving.
Right.
Whether it's, and looking at our 401ks, I don't know if anybody else has done this recently, but it's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. It's something that has years to grow, hopefully. Like, that's the point of it. So it's not the short term, it's the long term. At least that's how I think of it. So even if it is down now,
you're riding the wave.
We're riding the waves. So, one of the things that they say in the article is a point of help for this sort of paralysis of retirement fears is to think of volatility as a feature, not a bug of the market.
Right.
Which I actually thought was a very interesting mindset. So knowing that volatility is just going to happen, and again, for your 401k, for your retirement accounts, it should be something that is a long-term goal. So if it is down in the short term, you should be able to ride it out, and especially as a millennial. Now, if you're closer to retirement age, it can be a little bit more disconcerting, but you have time for your money to change and grow.
Yes. And they also gave this little tidbit of advice. Sitting still and doing nothing isn't necessarily the answer. A lot of people just freeze financially. They're like, but it might be a great time to invest in the stock market while everything's cheap.
Yes.
Get a deal.
In fact, one of the other pieces of advice the article points out is if you are younger, you're a millennial or younger, now might be the time to actually contribute more into your 401k if you can afford it, because basically you're buying your retirement stocks at a discount at this point. So
it'll only go up from here.
They might go down again, but they'll eventually go back up, hopefully.
Yes.
So
we have to accept the volatility. It's something that exists and happens, and we have to just learn to live in peace with these scary things that come about. I mean, if we can make it through a pandemic, come on.
Yes. If we can normalize wearing a face mask, I think we can normalize this.
Yeah, totally. Hopefully. All right, well, we're going to take another quick commercial break, but we'll be right back to remind you of the shows airing today on ROI TV. Welcome back, everyone. I just wanted to remind you not to miss today's episodes of Your Money, Your Wealth, ETF Stories, and Life's Third Act. I had to remind myself. We have so many great shows. Sometimes it's hard to remember all of them, but they are really good. Do not miss them. You can catch them all on ROI TV. Where?
On Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or on your phone or tablet, whether it's an Android or Apple product. And we are also available now on Distro TV. Woohoo! So check us out there. Yes. And we look forward to seeing you in your home.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Coffee with Kem and Hills. We'll see you tomorrow, Tuesday, with another big old cup of coffee.